Daniel had just moved into a new apartment and was in the process of settling in when he noticed an old, locked closet in the hallway. He didn't think much of it at first, dismissing it as an unused space. But every night, something about it seemed to call to him. It started with faint scratching sounds, like nails scraping against wood. At first, Daniel thought it was just his imagination, or perhaps a strange creak in the old building. But night after night, the scratching grew louder, and he couldn't shake the feeling that something, or someone, was on the other side of that door. One evening, as he sat on the couch, the sounds grew so intense that Daniel could no longer ignore them. Hesitantly, he approached the door, his hand trembling as he placed it on the knob. Suddenly, the scratching stopped. He stood there for a moment, listening to the silence, when a soft whisper came from within the closet.
"Hey, I am behind you."
Daniel's heart skipped a beat as he spun around. The air around him felt thick with dread, and the shadows in the hallway seemed to grow longer and darker. As he looked toward the wall, a shadow stretched unnaturally, as if something was slowly stepping out of the closet. He backed away, his breath shallow, unsure if what he'd seen was real or his mind playing tricks. But the eerie presence remained, watching him from the dark corner of the room. Mia woke up to the sound of creaking floorboards in the dark of the night. At first, she thought it was just the house settling, but then she saw her roommate, Emma, standing at the foot of her bed. Emma's eyes were wide open, but there was no recognition in them. Her expression was blank, unfocused. "Emma?" Mia whispered, rubbing her eyes, unsure if she was still dreaming. Emma didn't answer, her body standing still in a strange, unnatural way. Mia's heart began to race. Something wasn't right. Emma's lips parted into a twisted, unsettling smile, and she spoke in a hollow, emotionless voice.
"Hey, I am behind you."
Mia's blood ran cold.
Hey, we've paused for a moment, but if you're enjoying the story, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to Ghosty Voids and ring the bell for more spooky tales. Now, let's get back to the horror.
She could feel something moving in the shadows behind her, a presence creeping closer. Slowly, she turned her head, but there was nothing there. Just the dark corner of the room. The only movement was the shadow on the wall, stretching and growing as if something was standing just behind her. Terrified, Mia scrambled out of bed, calling Emma's name, but her roommate's eyes never focused. She was as if she wasn't even there, her body moving on its own, driven by some unseen force. Mia bolted out of the room, never looking back. She still doesn't know if Emma was sleepwalking that night, or if something else took control. Marcus had taken this same walk through the forest hundreds of times. The path was familiar, the rustle of leaves in the trees a soothing soundtrack to his evening routine. But tonight something felt different. The air was heavier and thicker with an uneasy tension. It wasn't just the usual forest sounds that filled the space around him. There was an eerie silence hanging in the air. He paused, listening. The usual comforting sounds of the forest were absent, and in their place was the faint rustle of something following him. He shook it off, convincing himself it was just the wind or his imagination playing tricks on him. But then, a voice, soft and barely audible, whispered from the darkness between the trees.
"Hey, I am behind you."
Marcus froze, his heart skipped a beat as he turned to face the shadows. But all he saw was the dim outline of the forest, shifting under the pale light of the moon. Then, from the corner of his eye, he saw it, a dark silhouette slipping between the trees, barely visible in the night. It was moving, following him, but as he turned fully, it vanished into the shadows. The sensation of being watched never left Marcus as he continued down the path, but no matter how fast he walked, the silence seemed to follow.